Somebody said to me, if you were them, that's exactly the way you would act. And I thought, that changes everything.
That is step one to personal transformation, to radically accept that.
This topic obviously means enough to you to write an entire book on it. You even talk about validation, a scenario, and a process.
Why this is only taught in doctoral programs for clinical psychology, I have no idea.
I'm continuously trying to get out of my own biases because I know they exist. Do you have a trick?
So this is so effective.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. When it comes to relationships, I think that we're all looking for more information, ultimately bringing us to better answers. So how do we deeply connect, respect, and foster the bonds that we value most? Well, from my guest today, the answer is both simple and complex. It's validation. It's a word we are all familiar with, but a concept that I think most of us are still trying to figure out. So how do we give it? How do we get it? And how can we become better at it? My guest today has spent much of her career asking and answering these questions. As a psychologist, she works with countless couples and individuals to help them improve their lives by improving their relationships with themselves, but also with others. She is like a validation expert. So please welcome my guest, author of the book, Validation: How the Skill Set That Revolutionized Psychology Will Transform Your Relationship, Increase Your Influence, and Change Your Life, Dr. Caroline Fleck. This podcast is brought to you by Fatty 15. If you listen to this podcast at all, you probably get the sense that I care about not only how I feel now, but also I am trying to age in a way where I do stay strong and sharp and energized. But the truth is, I've noticed some changes. I mean, listen, whether it's slow recoveries after my workout, joint stiffness, I think that's an ongoing thing, and sleep that could be a lot deeper. And me, like so many of you, I've tried a lot of wellness products over the years, but I want to tell you about a product that really stands out, and I've been taking it for years now, Fatty 15. It isn't a trend, it's backed by real science. Fatty 15 is powered by something called C15. It's the first essential fatty acid that's been discovered in over 90 years. And C15 helps our cells stay strong and resilient. So it's slowing the aging process down from the inside out. So it's vegan friendly, free of flavors, fillers, allergens, and even preservatives. And 72% of Fatty 15 customers report seeing or feeling benefits within 16 weeks, including improved metabolic, liver, and heart health, smoother functioning joints, deeper sleep, so important, or healthier hair, skin, and nails. It's like whatever motivates you. And something else I appreciate about Fatty 15 is that it comes in just a nice little glass bamboo jar. It's reusable. All you do is you get your refills. They're shipped right to your door. They make it very easy. Fatty 15, they are on a mission. They want to optimize your C15 levels to help you stay and live healthier longer. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit. And all you have to do is head to fatty15.com/Gabby. And by using the code Gabby at checkout, you'll get 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit. That's fatty15.com/Gabby, fatty15.com/Gabby. And don't forget to use Gabby at checkout. Caroline Fleck, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I feel like you stepped into a tornado today. I've had a crazy day and I'm much more myself. This is like my real personality. Because before I just fake everybody. I try to act like I'm calm and it's sort of like, let's go in here and record. And you walked in and I was like, whoa.
But what I said was you're a breath of fresh air, which was like totally genuine because I think we're all kind of running around inside, right? Yeah. And like to just be met with someone who's being real. Yeah. It's very refreshing.
As long as it's like, meet me where you really are, but don't bring me into your cloud.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, don't need me to manage you. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, right.
Especially as a psychologist, right? So I'm often coming into situations, people are like, the psychologist is here. And I'm like, it's just Thanksgiving, guys. Let's just get through it.
Yeah. Yeah. So your new book, Validation, and to be honest, I really want to also get into the behavioral changes, like just little strategies in there. Yeah. But in validation, I started thinking, you ever go to a parking lot and they go, would you like to be validated? And I'm like, absolutely. Yes. Like if it was only that easy. Can I give you a validation? And I'm like, yes, please.
Oh my gosh. In my house, it is that easy. So we often distinguish between problem solving or validation. And so like my daughter doesn't get the teacher she wanted in school, right? Like all of her friends are in the same class. She's not. And I'm like, do you want problem solving or validation? Problem solving would be like emailing the principal and seeing if we can do it. Validation is just like, oh my gosh, it's so disappointing. Like not trying to change anything, just accepting the conditions with her and being there with her in them.
I think being a parent, it's sort of really been twofold for me. Just the simple thing of listening and not solving the problem, and simultaneously learning how to validate. Because in your mind, you might think, oh, that is tough. And that's the part of listening. But the part of validation is actually letting the other person know. Oh my gosh. Right?
That's such an important point, because I work with a lot of folks who are like highly sensitive, or they're kind of empathic by nature. And I'll say, I've got these great skills to help you communicate validation, to help you communicate acceptance. And the reaction is often, oh, I'm really good at that. Or they don't necessarily say it, but I can just see, like, if I'm working with a couple and the one who's more sensitive is just kind of like, And then the partner who is less sensitive often is the one who masters this stuff because they work on it. And we fail to appreciate that feeling empathy, understanding someone doesn't necessarily translate to communicating those qualities.
Yeah. And I've had to learn this. I'm a very, I would say, pretty logical person. And I also experience a lot of my emotions, sort of in my mind. Like even, oh, I think that upsets me. Well, how do I want to deal with that? Like I live with a heart-based person.
Yeah.
And so I learned early in my marriage, I would get home and I would see Laird and I would be like, in my mind, like, there is Laird. I love him. I'm so excited to see him. But this is what Laird would see.
Oh, fascinating.
So I had to learn that it wasn't being disingenuous by being like, with a big smile.
That's right.
Because it actually communicated truly what I was feeling inside, but it also brought him into the feeling.
That is so right.
And so it really was a really big lesson for me because I know it. It's like when we think about people, but we don't reach out. They don't know we've been thinking about them.
No, and we are all so in our heads that we presume that like whatever we're thinking is transparent to the people across from us, and it so isn't.
This topic obviously means enough to you to write an entire book on it. And I find it fascinating that you even were able, and I'm just curious to talk about sort of this ladder of validation, because maybe it's part of the story of people understanding a scenario and a process of what that looks like. And I'm just curious from your experience, what dynamics, is it partners? So we'll, just say like husbands and wives, or just partners, parents and children. Maybe we could just run a few scenarios and how it would work. Yeah. Because you're obviously hearing a lot of the same stories, just in different, with different players and actors.
That's exactly right. So one of the reasons I wrote this book is because I learned this highly kind of specialized set of skills for validating patients, really. Okay. That's why we learn them. It's a strategy, or it's a set of strategies, really. You kind of learned how to ping pong between these skills. And it's just a method that you learn to validate people. Why this is only taught in doctoral programs for clinical psychology, I have no idea. Like I vividly remember learning this content and being like, why isn't this taught in schools?
Did you come from a home where there was like good communication?
Not necessarily. I mean, I wouldn't say it was bad communication, but it was just, the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was a lot of
Did your parents even know you were there?
Exactly. Right. So I wouldn't say exceptionally. And perhaps that's what stood out to me about this was like, oh, none of this is rocket science. Like, this is evidence-based strategies for how to communicate better. Unfortunately, it was developed in the context of therapy. And my opinion is that was kind of its downfall, because in case you haven't noticed, there's quite a stigma around mental health. And folks just don't think to use what we apply in therapeutic scenarios outside of those scenarios. But here's the thing. People are people, okay? People with mental health problems are no different in terms of what they respond to and or need. And so my work has been to really pull back and say, no, let's look at this stuff in corporate spaces. Let's look at it in family dynamics and marriages with children, because we are all people. And when we zoom in so much, we lose so much information, data, insight.
And I think caring is sometimes the quickest way to rack focus right in. Like as a therapist, you maybe could maintain a little more objectivity.
Yeah.
You know, it's also how you can give your friends' children much better advice than you can give your own, because you are invested and you care, but you do have that space.
Yeah, you do have that space. I would say, though, on the other end of the spectrum, you also don't get to choose who you're talking to. And so often you have people coming in who are saying and or doing really offensive things. Heck, often that's why they're there to see me.
What does that mean, doing offensive things?
Oh.
What do you mean?
I immediately start.
Come on.
Yelling, screaming.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
In therapy or just in their life?
Sure.
Oh, really?
I mean, whatever shows up in their life tends to show up in
you have a baseball bat at your office?
No, but I've
you got a little taser, you got something, a little non-lethal, huh?
I have a like a mace, you know, but I've never had to use it.
Oh, you haven't?
No, but adults throw some of the best tantrums, in my opinion. And so folks are coming to like work on, or they might have political views that I find very offensive, right? But that are central to their values and identity. And I've got to work with this person. I have to find a way, and here's the key. I have to find a way to genuinely understand and empathize with them, because you can't fake that. I mean, you can, but it won't facilitate change. They'll feel that something is off.
Yeah, they'll be like, she's against what I believe or feel. How do you get out of your biases? Because I think that's an art that we could all learn. I'm continuously trying to get out of my own biases because I know they exist.
Yeah.
Do you have a knack? Do you have a trick that you do?
So this is the secret. And it was such a big insight for me. It comes back to validation, but there is always something valid in another person's perspective or experience, okay? And as psychologists, we look at an experience as defined by a person's behavior, their thoughts, and their emotions. I only need one of those things to be valid, okay? So I could be working with a schizophrenic client who is seeing and hearing things that aren't there, right? And they are convinced I'm working with the government and they are threatened by me. I don't think that person's thoughts are valid at all, okay? Right. However, given what they're thinking, their fear is. If I was thinking those things, I would feel the same way. Their behavior even makes sense. I wouldn't want to talk, right? And so the trick with this is to open with that, to lead with what's valid, because our innate negativity bias forces us to focus on what we don't like, what we feel threatened by, and what we disagree with. And that is a problem.
It's funny. Sometimes I think about, all of these conversations around, let's say, well-being, which is all of it, right? Of course, I'm into the movement and the food and all the things, but this is a huge piece. This is a driver of well-being. Sometimes I feel like people don't realize how powerful their biology is, in the sense of we've been sold somehow that we're supposed to feel good and happy and all these things. I think we're naturally very anxious. And the job is to work towards a sense of well-being or peace. I don't think it's a birthright. No. I don't think based on our biology. I have a friend, PJ Nessler, and they talk all about, your biology is just here to keep you alive. It doesn't care if you thrive or not.
That's exactly right.
And so I think sometimes if we also started these conversations with knowing a lot of what I'm feeling is pretty normal.
Oh, yes.
And it's my job to work out of feeling anxious or scared or hypervigilant or all these things. And I'm reading your face. Does she like me? Because yes, I need to be a part of the tribe. And the other part is that humanity piece. And you just said it, which is if we can acknowledge the humanity in another person, if we can make them feel seen in this one way, whether it is their thoughts, their beliefs, or their feelings, or, actions, just once, I think it goes miles, and we don't give it enough credit.
And this isn't theoretical or speculative. There is so much research to support these simple truths that when you lead, now the techniques that they used when folks are doing terrorist interviews or interviews with suspected terrorists, we used to rely on kind of torture and not evidence-based techniques to try and get information. We didn't get credible information. Okay. And we screwed everybody up in the process. What does work, what's most effective, is to lead with understanding, empathy, and acceptance. And that now is the primary protocol that's used. They use what's called rapport-based interventions, which is just variations of these exact same skills. And they use them because they work.
Yeah. So on the validation ladder, let's just start with kids. And let's start with little kids. Because, once you realize that favorite blanket is as meaningful to them as your car is, as your jewelry that your grandmother gave you, and you can put a different reference to it. Yeah. So they come to you and, they're frustrated about something that could seem to a parent like, what's the big deal? We can get another one, or we'll find it, or whatever it is. What's the process of validating a little kid where maybe they're not even, let's not say reason, but let's say that's probably not part of the deal yet.
Again, I immediately think what's the kernel of truth? So that's the phrase I literally use in my head. Where's the validity here? What's valid? Because oftentimes when that kid comes to you, they are throwing an epic tantrum, all right? And their behavior is way overreactive given what's going on, okay? So their behavior might not be valid, but their emotions might be. And I do just exactly what you innate kind of described. Put myself in their shoes. If I had lost something that really mattered to me, how would I feel? I'd be really upset. Okay. So I might say, are you feeling really sad? I'd feel really sad. That makes total sense. You loved it. Parents get very nervous when I say this because they're like, you're going to make it worse. Right? If you say that, the kid's going to freak out more.
You're really going to miss that toy, aren't you?
Yeah. It was the best. They don't make them anymore.
Can't get it.
And on some level, if a kid is really spinning out, you need to smooth and move first. But in general, we tend to be way too cautious about validating children's emotions. So much so that we invalidate them to the extent that we're saying things like, it's okay. It's not a big deal. We'll get another one. All of that says you should not be feeling this way. Now, all of those things could be true. Like you can problem solve and get a new thing or whatever, but you don't have to invalidate it first. You can say, no, this is really upsetting. This is such a bummer. And I think we could get another one.
Yeah. So let's say you have a kid who's a little older. They know how to regulate themselves a little more before they're teenagers. Let's say, 10 to 12.
Got it.
Even though that's a hard time too.
Yeah.
That's a very transformative time. And there's listening. So I think that so I'm curious about that. There's just listening. And I've learned with my girls, I asked permission once they got to about that age, like, can I ask you a question? Yeah, can I say something? Because sometimes when they're just sharing, it was like, I'm just going to leave the door open. Yes, and they weren't asking me, for my advice necessarily, but there was sort of like there was a little bit of a complaining tone to it.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm curious if they have something actually happen, if someone's mean to them at school or they don't get invited to a party and now they've got these devices. So everybody knows where everybody is every second of the day. Yeah. Which, have you ever seen is it Snapchat where they have the car of themselves and they can see wherever the other one is?
Oh my gosh, really?
Like around the world. So it's like your friend with their character and their avatar, and it's in a car. And so imagine you're at home and you see all your group of friends in their car or at a thing together. Oh. So no matter where they are, and I think, this is also not healthy, but this is the world we live in. So if someone's like, I didn't get invited to a party, and maybe it's not even a good friend of theirs. So the natural thing would be like, well, you're not even really friends with them. You just share mutual friends. How would a person say that, validate their feelings? And also, is it different at that point for a young lady versus a young man?
Oh, a lot there. I probably should have said this earlier. When we define validation, we think of it as including these kind of key ingredients: mindfulness, understanding, and empathy. Yes. And if you mix those ingredients together, you're going to get a powerful signal of validation. However, sometimes you're out of milk or you're out of eggs. You don't have the empathy, you don't have the understanding, and all you can do is pay attention, okay? So we have two skills to help us do that send a slight signal of validation and help you cultivate understanding.
So even if the other person is like, they are paying attention to me. They actually don't know what the hell I'm talking about. They don't really understand. They feel it, but they kind of don't feel it, but they're there. And that is the beginning of a thread for the listener.
That's right.
To actually go, okay, I'm getting a sense of what's going on here.
That's right. So with those, we call those skills attending and copying. And so if kiddo, and I'm like, I have no idea. She doesn't even like this person. Let's pretend that that's the case. Yeah. All right. And I'm like, I just don't see this. Why are we talking about this? What's the problem? I need to, we call it the A game, where I listen in a very specific way. I'm trying to figure out, what is the kid's point? What's it they're trying to say, and why does this matter to them? And then how would I do a better job of stating that? All right.
Oh, okay.
It's just like a little riddle in my head, and it informs how I listen. So I can ask questions and stuff, but it has to be just to kind of figure out that information. Notice there's no judgment here about whether or not I agree or I like it. If you watch great late night hosts and like the Oprahs of the world, you'll see that they are playing a version of this game. They want the best interview they can get. All right. They don't necessarily agree with the guest or even have a stake in the game, but they want to help that person state their point and do it well. And so they're asking questions and they're listening in such a way as to pave the way for that. Okay, that's what these two skills do. So I want to keep the person talking until I find something that I'm like, boom, oh, okay, I got that.
So mindfulness, understanding, and empathy.
Yeah, so that's just a mindfulness skill.
Can you fake empathy?
I mean, you can, but you become a politician.
I'm just joking. Then you're a sociopath, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I genuinely believe that people see through that. I mean, unless you're very, very skilled and sick, people will see through that.
I had an interesting conversation with a 19-year-old young man, a friend of one of my youngest daughter, and he was talking about how he didn't feel empathetic. And I actually don't think that's true. But what he was saying, and I thought this was interesting, is in situations where he didn't actually think he could make a difference, even though he understood what was sad or difficult about it, he didn't see the point of having empathy. And I go, well, I actually don't think it's a lack of empathy. I think you're being honest with yourself and saying, I don't need to wear this problem as my own. There's actually no impact I can have on it. But just being aware that something is going on is a form of empathy.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, it sounds like that person is in some ways trying to be skillful, protect themselves, right, from compassion fatigue, burnout, because if you can't fix the situation, you can feel like you're just getting weighed down by it.
I'll give you an interesting one, and I know you've experienced this many times. You have especially for me, it's like with your kids. They're going through something, because again, I have 3 daughters, and I can remember specifically one scenario going through something with one of my daughters, but what was more important in the moment was her well-being and her feelings than my own real discomfort and my feelings. And that came across to her. I learned this later from her, that I wasn't emotional enough because, and I said, yes, I really appreciate, but you were not in a great place. And I was trying to be a grown up and put my own feelings aside that I would later talk to your dad with or something privately. And I was trying to be there only for you in the moment. Yeah. So it's so interesting also how people will receive, she's a very emotional and highly empathetic person. Yeah. So for her, I said I wasn't going to go down the rabbit hole with you because I needed to be your mom and I needed to be there for you. And for her, she said, oh, that felt like you didn't care the same way. And I was like, oh, interesting.
That's really fascinating. One, because it brings us back full circle to that point about like what we're feeling and what our intentions are don't necessarily come across. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But 2, I would say, again, as therapists, like it gets draining. You're going from this problem to that problem to this, hour back to back to back. And there is some sense of I can be skillful in how I'm communicating while at the same time protecting my emotions a bit. Yeah. So I empathize a bit and I know how to communicate that without like you said, in that situation, you need to be clear-headed.
You can't get taken down.
You can't.
And as the mom, right?
Yes.
It's like if you ever, anyone who's ever had a hysterical mother, like
Yes,
you could
yes,
have
yes.
something happen to you and they go, I can't believe this happened to you. It's like, is this about you now?
Exactly.
Or is this about that I have this thing going on?
Right.
And so it's such a fine line. But I think, for example, when people are very busy in their lives, I think this is a really important trait that you're talking about, which is like, I hear you. I can see that that is difficult.
Yeah.
Is there a way that I can be there better for you?
Yes.
So they know you're listening and paying attention, but also that you're able to sort of stay level.
Yeah, totally. There's also this thing where, we can circle back. Like in the heat, we act like these heat of the moment situation. I mean, it sounds like you and your daughter at some point reconnected about this and talked. I am so all for that because in the moment, in the crisis, in the fight, we're not at our best.
Right.
You're trying to make sense of all the information that's coming in and be effective. And you can circle back and say, hey, how did that feel? I was trying to be supportive. Did you feel that?
Yeah.
We're really averse to that for some reason. I don't know why. This idea that we've got to get it right out the gate or it's a lost moment. It's like so not the case.
Yeah, I find you do a lot of apologizing as a parent. I have learned that I think that if you're willing, because when things settle or you learn the new lesson,
yes,
you can circle back and say, hey, I've thought about stuff. Maybe it comes up a year later and I'll go, I thought about that situation. I probably could have handled that better. And I think it's people don't give themselves that opportunity to know that they have that as an option. And also it still continues to build trust.
Something I heard John Gottman, he's a very well-renowned marriage researcher, say, if you screw up, it's a great opportunity to model apologies. And I've thought about that, because in my experience, people suck at apologizing. It is like we get very vague, like, I'm sorry about that thing I said last week that made you upset, right? Like when we're going to complain, we can really get in there.
How about this one? I'm sorry you feel that way. It's like, what does that mean? My husband is the one who taught me to apologize.
Really?
Yeah, I was a terrible apologizer, super proud, super scared.
Well, and where would you have learned otherwise? Because we seem to be in a society of people who don't apologize, and it's a it gets
skill. Easier too.
It does.
It really gets easier. I want to encourage people, if you haven't tried it, it gets a lot easier. But also, I'm gonna put a caveat. You wouldn't. I think also to be vulnerable to people that you can trust makes it a lot easier because they're not hammering you back again.
That's right.
I learned how to say sorry in an environment where then I wasn't punished.
Very good
for being
point.
wrong. So I also think that within there is a nuance that has made it a lot easier.
Yeah, because there's in power, if you're not in a position of power and you're the one doing the apologizing,
right,
that can really put you down further. Right? Especially if the other party doesn't. But with children, I think there's a lot more opportunity there. And I think okay, for some reason I just say, I don't want to apologize. I don't want to go back to this thing. I don't want to bring it back up. But I think to myself, my daughter's name is Havana. What would I want her to be able to apologize in this moment if she had a kid in the future?
Yeah.
Then I've got to show her how it's done. It's
really bad though, having, again, daughters, because daughters have a different level of perceptiveness.
Yes, they do. It's very validating. Thank you. I have an 11-year-old.
Oh, they do. Yeah. I think it's also because typically, and this comes from a 6'3", 180-pound female, women are more physically vulnerable.
Yes.
So their minds and eyes are clicking and watching and analyzing and looking because it's part of how we get through and survive.
Yes.
Is that a threat? Is this a threat? And so they're paying attention. And we're all about the little nuances, right?
Yeah.
But I can remember being in the middle of a situation with one of my girls and being like, oh, shit, I'm going to have to apologize for this.
Oh, I love that though.
But it's coming.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, okay. And while it's happening, because when their counterpoint comes and you think, they're right. I'm going to have to apologize. But like I said, it does get easier.
I love it. I also wanted to give listeners one other skill, because we were talking about if your kid comes to you with something and maybe you don't totally get it. Yeah. And I said, you can try and listen in this way. We also have this other skill called copying, which is as straightforward as it sounds. And this stuff is magic, like real magic when you look at the effects of one person copying the body language or words of another person and the effects that has on their sense of intimacy, connection in both directions.
Because they're in it together.
They're in it together. The biology of it is that it triggers mirror neurons. Okay.
Oh.
So in copying or mimicking you to some extent, I actually get a taste of what you're experiencing. All right. And that is how we move from just being mindful to understanding. So just in using that skill, and I loved the research.
But do you think
on
a
this.
teenager would accept that from you?
Yeah, you got to be smart about it.
Yeah, because I feel like they'd eat you alive.
Here's what works. No.
I just got a hot flash thinking about trying to do that to one of my girls. Like if they put their hand on the hip and I did that, they'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Are you trying to remind me? So there's these very subtle ways to copy. So it could even just be like in doing your nails.
Yeah.
Right? Like if they're doing their nails, you sit down, you're doing your nails too. Okay. Often it's just repeating a word. All right. And it's not the like, I hear you saying that you feel bummed that, no, it's just like, yeah, that sucks. If the kid had said like, it just sucks. I feel left out. Yeah, that sucks. Like I'm just looking for the word that is like the paint color that they're adding to the picture, right? It's really powerful. Again, not just with kids, but across the board. In couples therapy, I'm going too much off script. I don't know if I should.
No, there's no script.
Are you sure? Okay.
I'm sure.
All right. I've got to share this with folks because it's a technique called rapport, and it's just copying. So I have a couple, they're fighting across from me. I'm in therapy with them and I interrupt and I say, okay, person A, I want you to write down everything person B says. You're not allowed to talk. And then you're going to repeat it verbatim, what you heard them say. All right. And then you guys will switch turns. So person A says, you never put the seat down and it's just so disrespectful. And person B's writing and they say, okay, you feel disrespected that I didn't put the seat down. And then I say, okay, great. Ask them if you got it right. Is that right? Yeah, more or less. Okay, now they flip sides. And then the conflict is over. I am not kidding. It is so effective because in conflict, we're not listening. We're forming our rebuttals.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you slow that process down and you have to really force it, the conversation opens up.
This podcast is brought to you by Lola Blankets. I think I'm not unusual. I'm a nester. I like to be at home and I'm always looking for ways just to make it feel more homey and cozy, but curated. And I have become obsessed with Lola Blankets. I don't know about you, but I like to have just a wind down ritual. Maybe it's, have a cup of tea or, dim the lights. That's a big one. And if I have time, maybe watch something on TV. And I always have a blanket with me because it just feels cozy. I tried a lot of blankets, but the first time I wrapped myself in a Lola, I knew this was different. I chose the soft, neutral design that fits perfectly in my living room. I like things very simple, and it really is next level. It's next level soft. It's unlike any blanket I've ever owned. There's no pilling, which I really appreciate, no shedding. Don't you love that? And even after multiple washes, honestly, I'm thinking about replacing all my other blankets with Lola for real. And they're not just for me. Lola would make the perfect gift. Those people that are hard to buy for? Well, this is an incredible gift. It's personable. It's beautiful. It's something people actually will use every day and they'll think about you. It's no surprise. They have over 10,000 5-star reviews. So once you feel it, you know why it's called the world's #1 blanket. They've done amazing collaborations with people like Teza and Rachel Parcell. But you've got to move fast because those limited editions always sell out so fast. Don't miss the matching pillows either. They look incredible. They kind of spice up the area and save when you bundle. So here's the best part. For our listeners, you will get 35% off your entire order at lolablankets.com by using the code Gabby Reece. So at checkout. So all you have to do is head to lolablankets.com, LOLABLANKETS. And don't forget to use the code Gabby Reece, JBBYREECE at checkout for 35% off your entire order. Wrap yourself up in some luxury with Lola Blankets. Your home, it's cozy, curated sanctuary. Have you been in practice since before telephones were really, let's say smartphones came out in 2008, 2007? When were you in practice?
I was licensed in 2010.
Okay, so you've been in this the whole time.
Yeah.
How much is all this stuff is the distraction of the phone. Like when you have couples that come in and see you, people at work, how much of this is impacted by this other new character in our lives?
Honestly, and this is strange, but my first kind of intervention there for the person who's overly dependent on their phone is for them to validate themselves, to look at like, why am I on this all the time? Okay. I'm uncomfortable. I get bored. There's some function it serves for you. It's not that you're a bad person or that you don't care about the people across from you. Because if you look at yourself that way, you won't be able to work on this.
Right. Okay. Well, and it's the dopamine, right? Like this thing is set up for us to get to the slot machine and bang on and bang on and bang on. So has there been conversations or people within your, office that they were like, yeah, and these are some little systems that we've put in place to kind of support where this lives in our lives? Yeah,
a lot of it. And this is really fascinating, again, being in like the tech hubs, but it's putting the phones away. Yeah. So folks who have docks when they walk in the door, because again, we're back to modeling. And you've got a whole bunch of little kids running around and a whole bunch of parents on their phone. Yeah. And what do you think's going to happen? I don't care how great you are at like, they won't, no cell phone to 8th grade or whatever. You're still modeling the behavior. And so you have to choose to put it down. So definitely during conflict or conversations, we always talk about protecting 15 minutes each day to touch base, to have like a stress reducing conversation in a couple, in a marriage, or an intimate partnership. And all of that has to be device down. Also, this is weird, but doing one thing at a time. So if you guys are watching a movie together, no phones.
Yeah.
Which it sounds...
Well, they say the double screen is a real no-go. Yeah. It's really bad for you.
Oh, really? I hadn't even heard that one.
And then if you look at a teenager, it's the phone, the computer, and the TV. They got it all rocking at one time.
I know.
It's just something that I'm going to be interested to watch all of us continue to navigate. So can we start to incorporate this ladder? There are these 8 kind of rungs of the ladder, if you will. Right. So we have mindfulness, understanding, and empathy. Yeah. How did you come up with these?
I actually didn't. There was originally a set of 6 skills that were taught in dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT as it's commonly known. DBT did this really sneaky thing. It was like in the 90s, and at the time we had all these behavioral interventions, which for folks who aren't familiar with those terms, it's a lot of like punishment, reinforcement, shaping behavior. Like this is how we help people change. Okay, because that is how people operate. We respond to rewards. We respond to punishments.
We think we're so sophisticated. I always say, oh my gosh, sticks and carrots, baby.
That's it.
I mean, I don't really know.
Also, because you're an athlete, so you've seen it firsthand, like just how direct.
And I'm honest with myself. Yeah. Like I'm motivated by one of 2 things.
That is like step 1 to personal transformation, is to radically accept that fact that you respond to rewards and punishments, right? That's it. That's the whole name of the game. Yeah. Okay. So we had all that going. Unfortunately, we had a lot of folks who, despite coming into therapy, weren't really responsive to being told what to do or what changes to make. Maybe they'd lost faith in their ability to change. Maybe they were there and they didn't want to be. So we had some of the most complex, hardest to treat cases we could not treat until DBT was actually the first intervention to bring in this kind of acceptance-based stuff. And so Marsha Linehan, who created DBT, outlined these 6 therapy skills to help therapists communicate acceptance while simultaneously working on change. So that's where these skills came from. I expanded them and tweaked them a little bit just based on changes in the field over the last 2 decades. But yeah, that ladder is 8 skills. All right. And I've already talked about 2 of them. So attending and copying, that's how you communicate that mindfulness quality. Yeah. And you can use those 2 skills if you don't understand and you don't empathize. Okay. So you're sitting across from that really obnoxious uncle at Thanksgiving who is just really intent on telling you all about their political beliefs. And you're like, no. Yeah. These are the skills you use.
Is tune out one of those? Oh, it's not on there. Oh, so I see. Sorry, take action. Sorry,
take
I thought
action
that
at
said
the
tune
top.
out.
Yeah, no, that's what I want to do.
I have that skill very good.
Yeah. So attending and copying are like, if you can't do anything else, you can do that. Now, if you do understand, if some part of the person's experience makes sense in that it's logical, you can convey that. Okay, we've got 3 skills there. contextualizing, equalizing, and proposing.
Mm-hmm.
Contextualizing says, well, based on your history, the way that you're feeling, thinking, or your behavior makes sense. Okay? So
I just could see like, well, if I was raised like you, and of course I'd be an idiot like that too, right? No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
You laugh, but I've heard it used like that in
I'm
couples
sure.
therapy, right?
Well, when somebody said to me years ago, if you were them, that's exactly the way you would act. That gave me, talk about empathy. I thought, yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, I would.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine you have somebody who grew up in a home where conflict was coupled with intermittent violence.
Yeah.
And you never knew when it was going to tip.
Yeah.
Okay. That person doesn't learn to be assertive or to work through conflict. They learn to avoid and shut down. And so if they're in a partnership where that's not working, okay, and
does it ever work? Is there a partnership that works?
That's a very good question.
I mean, unless I guess it's a flight attendant and she's just on the road. I don't know.
Or they're both like that.
Yeah.
And that does sometimes work, actually.
It does?
Yeah. Yeah. When you have people who are both conflict avoidant, the first thing that tends to go is intimacy.
I was going to say, where's the sliding across, the connection?
Yeah.
They get drunk once in a while and
yes.
get down, I guess.
Or they let it go. They're just less inclined to hold on to those sticking points that typically bring people together.
I see.
But if I'm someone who wants to talk things out and my partner doesn't, I could say, like, listen, it makes total sense that this is hard for you. Like, it would be weird and it wouldn't make evolutionary sense if you were drawn to these types of conversations given how you were raised. That makes no sense. Yeah. And I worry about the implications of that for us. So there's this I'm looking for the kernel of truth. There's some part of this that's valid. Not all of it, but there's some part. Like, this makes sense given that, but we're in a different place now.
Yeah.
So that's like contextualizing, when you need to kind of zoom out to figure out why the person's behavior makes sense.
And what is equalizing?
Equalizing is the easiest. It's just anyone in your shoes would feel that way.
Oh.
And it's really kind of what you're describing. If I were in your shoes,
I would do that thing.
Yeah. You don't need to look back at ancient history or, try and, with I think of those murder boards. No.
Yeah, like a whiteboard.
No, where they've got the red string, right? And you're like, how does this thing? That's more of the contextualizing. I'm trying to figure out how this person. Equalizing is just, if I were in your shoes, I would feel the exact same way. To really up that, I would encourage folks to actually imagine themselves in that person's shoes.
So you have propose, right? Yeah. Take action, emote, and disclose. Is this right?
Yeah. So sorry, propose is actually an understanding skill too. Okay. That's just reading between the lines, saying what you think the other person might be thinking or feeling. This is a great one.
So what does that sound like? Like, say I'm your partner, pretend I'm your partner, and let's say I'm a more emotionally avoidant person, so I'm not into my sticky feelings. Well, how would you?
You're probably wishing this would come to an end, this conversation.
Oh, and you're like, oh, you see me.
Yeah. You know who's the queen of this? Oprah. So I used to study her in grad school. She was doing an interview with, what's her name? Meghan Markle. Oh. Yeah. And she,
no, it wasn't Meghan Markle. You weren't in grad school with Meghan Markle.
No. This was just a few years ago.
Oh, yeah. That one in Santa Barbara. It's very painful.
Yes. And she says, Markle's talking about how she just kept she was really being tormented, or so she felt, within the royal family, and nobody knew about it, and all these rumors were circulating. And Oprah says, well, why didn't you just tell people what was going on? And the look on her face, it's just this real quick shame look. And she looks down and she goes, I don't know, I just stayed silent. And then Oprah, being Oprah, comes in with were you silent or were you silenced?
Oh, God. Did you throw up in your mouth, or did you
I threw up, but I was also
you were loving it?
She got it. That is an Oprah moment, because, and you could see it in Meghan's,
I know. I see. It's so funny from the outside. I'm like, in a way, certain situations, you kind of know what you're marrying into.
Yeah.
Okay, it's so hard in the castle.
Yeah. And yet,
that's true.
Don't you think she felt seen and heard in that moment? And that was Oprah's job. right?
No,
Is
well,
to
of
deliver
course,
that.
she can down home it like nobody's business.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's where this skill, it looks like a superpower almost.
Oh, yeah.
Because people are like, are you in my head? Or like, I didn't even realize that about me.
Yeah,
Oh,
you see me more than I know myself.
that's it.
So take action.
Okay. So now
This
we're
seems
getting
like the
into-
hardest one, maybe.
This is the one that is most like, so now we're into
Is this the
empathy
risky
skills.
one?
This
Is take
very
action?
risky.
Okay.
So taking action is, oh gosh, there's so many great examples of this. I was just thinking recently with Jimmy Kimmel's, just was recently taken off the air. Okay. Now imagine if his buddies, Seth Meyers goes on his show and he says, he validates Jimmy to the best of his ability. He does all sorts of like, anybody in Jimmy's shoes would be upset, right? Like, and he can use all these other skills. But if he was to say, and that's why I'm going off the air too.
Oh.
To support him, in allegiance with him. That's taking action. That's stepping in and putting yourself, investing yourself in the situation in some way.
I think because of my background, I can't help but think of it, the context of somebody, let's say if they were really struggling to create a better routine in their life, that the partner would say, okay, I'm going to not eat those foods with you. I'm going to give up this. I'll stop drinking alcohol and I'll be with you on this journey. I mean, when I see that take action. So emotionally, what does that look like? Like, I'll work on communicating more. I'll work on letting you know how I'm feeling before I lose my temper.
It could. I mean, it's just, it could even just be like, hey, you've got an event tonight and I know it's a big deal to you. You didn't invite me. Like, it's at 6:00 and you're going, and I show up.
Yeah.
Right?
That's G.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I had, right after I finished writing the book, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yeah.
And I had,
Just
so everyone knows, okay, people might be listening, what you can't see, this hair is not great, but before, it was beautiful. It was epic. It was down to my waist. It was a mane, okay?
You can get that mane back.
Oh, God, I'm working.
You can.
Don't think I'm not eyeing your mane.
Oh, I'm telling you, I'll give you a daughter. My daughter has oils, and also red light will really help with that, for real. Yeah, we'll get that mane back.
Okay.
We'll get it back.
Okay, now you're really taking action in a way that lands with me. Let me
Yeah,
just
let's get serious.
But so I lost my hair. It was
How
very
long was
hard.
that process?
It was all said and done about a year, and a full year of double mastectomy, chemo, radiation, hormone treatments. Yeah, it was rough. And I felt so superficial. Like, it surprised me how much it hurt when I lost my hair.
No, I don't think that's superficial.
I had to do a lot of self-validation, or I had to think like, this is, how you've always looked at yourself. This is central to who you are. This is how your daughter knows you. It makes sense that you feel this way,
Absolutely. I think it's okay to know all the sides of ourselves, and even to go in the stuff of like, hey, I know this doesn't really matter, and it feels shallow, but it still feels important. Yeah.
And you know what? Look at the society we live in. Okay. As a woman, every billboard driving down here is, an advertisement for something I need to look better.
Of course.
And like, so when that's at stake, it hurts.
Yeah.
But I was really comforted and in this weird way, like validated by watching videos of people who shaved their heads for, their loved one who was going through treatment. And just even like watching it, I had this like, I have goosebumps. It's like I had a visceral sense of just like feeling seen.
Yeah.
And it was that level, like it's just people stepping up and being like, you're not in this.
Yeah.
I see you. I'm here. That's what taking action is when it goes well. If you overdo it, it looks like meddling or problem solving or codependence. Right? And so I think especially women need to be really intentional. Like, this is not one you go to all the time, right? This is you really need to pull out the big guns. There's really an opportunity here, because most of the time I want you just like communicating acceptance, not intervening on the other person's behalf.
Yeah, that's a really important distinction.
Even with clients, if I say, okay, I know you're really down and out, I'll make that call for you, and stepping in that way. There's opportunities to do this in all of your relationships. You just kind of have to be thoughtful about it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the last two are emoting and disclosing. Emoting is just having an emotional reaction. It's really fun because it's the let your guard down. So this could look like jumping up and down with, your teenager when they get into the school that they wanted to, holding their hands, doing a funny dance. It could look like crying in a session with a mother who just lost her daughter, as I've done. Or I've not lost my daughter, but being the therapist in that situation, just kind of breaking character.
Yeah, because what are you going to say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
John Stewart did this great testimony before Congress advocating on behalf of the 9/11 first responders. And he goes before them. If there's something to check out, it's that. Look at it on YouTube because his validation is impressive. And he goes from the comical guy that we all know him to be, and he is so direct and he is so angry. And he says, I am so angry. And his voice is shaking. And he tears up and he doesn't hold it back. And that sense of like, he sees their struggle. He feels it. And I, sitting here watching it, feel it now, just as a function of his reaction. That's emoting.
Yeah. It beats words sometimes. It's just like
100%.
It's just like, even in the good way. Yeah. It beats it.
It does. And it can be like even taking someone's hand.
Yeah.
In those moments where you just kind of like, actually, as we were talking and I mentioned the cancer thing, I had to look away because you had a very just like genuine emotional reaction, just like in your face of like, you kind of took, and it was, I very much felt it. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. Shoot.
You're sorry about
that? No,
that?
I should not be sorry. I hate when people apologize for having emotions.
Well, and and ones that are, we're not talking about, your favorite poppy drink. It's like, that's real stuff.
It's real stuff. And it does, it really means a lot when people take it seriously because it was a serious thing for me. But yeah, that's the power of emoting.
And disclosing or disclose.
As straightforward as it sounds, it's like, I've been there too in some way. Right. So when you share your secrets, not to overshadow the other person.
Yeah. See, I love this distinction as well, because sometimes it's so interesting. And I'm really mindful with my friends and my children, when they're going through something. And if I've gone through something very similar, I'm very careful to, if it makes sense in some way, it's maybe to show a vulnerability, but not, like you said, to overshadow. Like, well, when I went through that.
When I was your age.
Yeah, it's like, oh God, thanks. But, you're not in that. I am.
So a little trick to staying on the right line of that is if you disclose, as therapists, we call it, you want to flip it back. So you want to, you share your piece. Hey, I also struggled with depression, even though I'm a therapist. Yeah. Like one of the reasons I became a therapist is because I struggle with depression. I know this sucks. But I don't know what brand or breed of it you've got. So what does it look like for you? So I do this kind of, I flip the conversation back to them with a question or something that gets them talking.
Back again on them. Yeah, and it's also letting them know, again, back to the judgment part of like, well, it normalizes things that also feel really overwhelming, which is helpful. It makes them know right away you're not judging because you're like, hey, I've seen it or been through it. So you've normalized it. You've also let them know I'm in the boat with you. And then you push it back to them, which lets them go back into their story, which I really appreciate that. That's a really beautiful technique.
It's especially powerful if the person is struggling with something that there's often a lot of shame associated with it. So for instance, like substance abuse.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
When someone says, oh no, yeah, I'm in AA too.
Yeah.
There's just this like, oh,
yeah,
you're safe. You don't judge me. You get it. Right? And interestingly though, we're all so protective of our shame stories. And I just wish I could impress upon people, like, there is so much opportunity for connection there. And you can make meaning out of those experiences by being somebody's like light, by just letting them feel seen.
Yeah. And also if someone's in the thick of it and they can be around somebody who's gone through it and maybe they're in the easier, better side, they also are reminded like, this dark day isn't going to be forever. There's a chance out of this. So I think that is really, really helpful. So I have to ask, couples, are women, do they sort of validate easier their male partner? Are men able to receive that? Does it annoy them at first? What are some of the scenarios you see? So for people listening, they'll be like, oh, okay, that, because again, nobody's going through anything different. And it's in everybody's house.
Oh, yeah.
Like everybody thinks like, oh, they have it figured out, or they know, look at that family. They love each other. It's listen, we're all nuts.
Yeah.
I used to say this when I get on an airplane, we come home from a holiday, my whole family looked like they were ready to brawl.
Yeah, totally.
And I'd see other families and I'm like, look at them.
Yeah.
They like each other. They had a good time. It's like, no, we're all going nuts. Like it's okay. It's normal.
That's why I love my job, because it's like, it's none of the, how's the weather? Oh, great.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. It's like, we wanted to kill each other and help us,
Yeah, and I like, sitting by the pool, I want to be in my routine, and so it's all the things. So how do you teach, let's say, in this case, male and female couples?
Yeah.
Because I'm so curious. I'm trying to think if I validate my husband. I do validate him for sure. And
there's a couple of really interesting observations here. One is that when I first introduced validation in these skills, more often than not, men seem less interested. And without fail, the men end up being the ones who are asking for validation more and kind of into the concept and realizing how much they kind of lacked it, in part because they weren't communicating a desire for it.
Yeah.
They weren't, right? Like they weren't leaning into it. And yet there was this like, yeah, I just want you to get where you don't have to agree with me. I just want you to like get where I'm coming from and like, why my mom is so important or whatever the case may be.
Oh, yeah. Is that a big one?
That's a big
one. My mom is so important. And the wife's like, I'm the wife.
Which is like,
I'm the queen and she can, be in her castle over there.
Yeah. So, and then I got to come back to the husband. Okay, now, but can you see her situation?
I was going to say, of course. Are they able to validate back? And how do they give me like...
so then this is my work. Okay. So now imagine that there was some person on the periphery who was coming into your house after you had surgery, say had a baby or something, right? And was telling you what you should eat and drink. All right. And they were very close to your spouse. Like, how would that feel?
Yeah.
Right. And so just in a safe way, kind of walking people.
Yeah. I don't know how that's not obvious though. I guess it is. And it's insane.
I know. The other cool thing with couples is that they tend to have like a validation language, and there's often a miscommunication. So for some people, they're really looking for their partner to take action, right? Like, I just want you to clean out the shed, but the partner really likes the emotional, like, oh, it must be so frustrating for you that the shed isn't, cleaned out and all of this. And so they're looking for different things from each other, and they're responding with what they want, not with what resonates with the other. Yeah. That's really interesting.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Because there's this whole idea of love languages, which frankly was based on zero research. Zero. It is hilarious. I'm probably going to get in trouble, but no, it's really funny.
Yeah.
But this stuff, you do see patterns where there's like, we're just talking past each other. And it's important because once I kind of can point that out, they can realize you weren't trying to stonewall me. You weren't minimizing. You were giving me what you wanted.
Yeah. And I think you have to look out for that in parenting.
Yes.
Because what I wanted was something so different than what my children want. And it took me a bit because I was like, I did all the things. It's like, no, you did the things you wanted.
So
and it's like,
true.
oh, okay.
It's the same principle of like, we give the gifts we want to receive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But not necessarily what the other person wants.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
Yeah. Because we're so egocentric. We can't help it. We just see the world through ourselves.
Yeah. Our lenses.
Yeah.
I want to quickly, because I think this is important. Changing is one of the hardest things in the world to do, right? It takes effort. I read something that said you could have a habit. And if somebody said to me, hey, Gabby, listen, if you do this thing over here that you haven't done and it's uncomfortable, the outcome will actually be better. Or you can just do it the way you're doing it. And you kind of know and know how to do it and know what the outcome is.
But the outcome's going to be not as good?
Correct. A lot of people still will do the thing that's familiar. Correct. So I'm just curious because you do talk about behavioral changes and strategies. I think we're all really well intended and we want to, right? We want to get that workout in. We want to not respond harshly to our partners or our children. We want to have patience, all these things. I think the reminder of little bit by little bit, because you're suggesting, hey, you don't have to make everything all at once. How does a person start? We'll use my platform as an example.
Please,
They want to have better lifestyle habits.
Yeah.
So is it writing it down? Is it setting it as an intention? What does that look like when you have people that go, hey, I want to be better in blank?
Okay. One of the biggest mistakes or kind of problems in this space is that folks think they have to punish themselves into good behavior. And that punishment can be as subtle as just constantly criticizing yourself. And that guilt you feel when you didn't do the workout, or when you canceled on pickleball, when you said you were and that guilt is what's going to keep you on the straight and narrow. Yeah. That guilt does not keep you on the straight and narrow. All right. As we talked about before, we all respond to rewards and punishments. So what is making it punishing for you to do the workout or punishing for you to eat right or whatever? And how can we balance that a little bit? Either could we make it less punishing somehow or more reinforcing somehow? That is the whole name of the game, right?
And what about in love? Like what about, because that's one kind of challenge, but vulnerability, risk. Let's say someone's been in a long relationship and people think that, oh, that's how they are. I've been in a very long relationship. I've been with my husband almost 30 years. But within it, we've had two situations where we could have easily divorced.
Yeah.
And what occurred out of that was not only change on both parts, but the allowance of change. Because it's like, you know how you are. We get into all that. And again, we could even say that with our kids. It's like kids change too. And so how, in that case, if somebody wants to say, you know what, I know I could do this better. I could communicate better. I could be maybe more overtly affectionate because I know that makes them feel good. But also for the other partner to say, today I'm going to look at you with new eyes. How do you get people dancing in those ways? Because that's almost harder than like, hey, I'll eat more veggies and try to go take a walk.
It is. So that the element there that's critical is psychological safety. And so when it comes to being vulnerable, being affectionate, all of these things that maybe we're not naturally drawn toward, or we've just gotten in bad habits and so we're not going in that direction. It helps to have a sense of psychological safety. And so just putting it out there, I am trying to be more affectionate. When you notice, it makes me feel really good. Basically, you're saying, I need positive reinforcement for this if I'm going to keep going.
And it's scary.
So I had a couple that I was working with where he was very, very critical of his partner. And as a result, she didn't want to make decisions. She didn't want to drive. She didn't want to do X, Y, or Z, right? And so she would say, okay, are we agreed? If she's going to be trying these things, you need to replace whatever criticism would have been there with praise, with warmth, with love. And if you can't do that, then this is on you, right? Now, if she can't try, then that's on her. But like you guys, this is the thing about partnerships, is that as a partnership, you both have to do something different here. Yeah. Right. And the first step is to communicate what you need. And then it's in the other person's, court to provide it, and back and forth.
When I hear this, I can't help but think there's a part of me, I don't know, like I think about this where if I continue to work on myself and in the things I believe in that are better, more positive traits than negative traits, right? Kindness, understanding, with this idea of like, how could I make your day better, right? I don't know if you heard me, like I was really bossy, and Laird's not a good person to boss around at all. It's not a good thing. But I was kind of on everybody because we were needing to get things done. And I also knew he was leaving. And so I did leave him a voice text and said, hey, I apologize if I was being abrasive. It's just, I was trying to get these things done. But there's a part of me that also thinks that if we're continuously showing that we're trying, if people are willing, it will also be the quicker way to get the other person to change if they're ever going to be willing. Because it might be like they're not willing and they won't. And then it might be like, hey, this was great. And I think we're good.
Yeah.
But there's something to me about if I can put down a boundary, if I can be my best self, if I can do all these things, that actually feels like it shifts the environment quicker than if I'm looking for you and I sometimes to do this back and forth.
So true. We often talk about like clean up your side of the street first. Like, don't worry about, because we also hold each other hostage. Like, well, I'm not going to start doing that until...
If you do this, I'll do that.
Yeah. And like, why should I make an app? They're not making an app. And we get really into this, right?
Yeah. I feel like if you just go, hey, I'm going to keep trying. I'll just keep doing it and see what happens. And when I think about, when you talk about a husband who's super critical, I think about how I would react. And even like my daughters, it would be like, cool, put the car in park, you drive, get the fuck out and drive. Like there's a part where also when people can learn how to also take care of themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
That you would be like, oh, I don't actually accept that.
At the core, though, you would need to believe that you don't deserve that isn't right.
100.
That's not fair, right?
Yeah.
And that is often where we get into trouble.
Because it's confusing.
Yeah, especially in male-female dynamics.
Right.
Right? Where there is this sense of like, well, maybe I don't know as much, or this is how people have always talked to me, or, and it's a slippery slope.
Oh, yeah.
And then we love to have this distinction between like, oh, you shouldn't rely on what other people say to feel good about yourself. It should all come from within. And
that's hard to do.
It's a lie.
And it's community. We need each other.
If you are pervasively invalidated,
yes,
the research is very consistent. Those people do not learn how to develop healthy relationships, have high self-esteem, and function optimally. They are significantly more likely to develop borderline personality disorder, substance abuse, narcissism, and on and on and on. It's a lie.
That's a really, really great point. This podcast has been brought to you by Laird Superfood. I know it's not fair. Laird Superfood was started in my kitchen. So yes, I'm excited to share it with you. It was started about 10 years ago. Not only does my entire family consume it, but Laird and I work on every product. What goes in the bag, the testing. We have really strict guardrails, but forget all that. It is so delicious. We've got coffees, Peruvian high altitude, low acidic coffees. We've got delicious creamers, bars, greens. But the thing I want to share with you today is our instant category. Now, a lot of times people think, oh, instant. Believe me, not only do we not sacrifice on ingredients, but it is so delicious and so convenient. So let's say you're on the go. Maybe you're working in an office or traveling on an airplane or maybe heading to college. I love our instant category so much because all you have to do is add hot water. If you like to ice your stuff, you can easily do that too, but it's so easy to use. It has high level coffee ingredients with our creamers. We've got instant latte, instant mocha, our latest instant vanilla latte. It is so delicious. I'm not a real vanilla girl, but I love this instant vanilla latte. Why? First of all, we use real vanilla, no natural flavors, no artificial flavors, no weird ingredients. Just incredible ingredients, MCT oil, so really nice for your energy, that sustained energy. You don't crash and kind of get like caffeine up and jittery down. Just a nice, smooth delivery. And again, it's so simple to use. All you do is add hot water wherever you are. So if you've never checked out Laird Superfood, by all means, see what product suits your lifestyle the best. But I want to tell you, I love our instant products. And actually, pretty soon, in about 2 weeks, we're even going to have our instant pumpkin latte for those of you who like that little spicy bit. And if you're not a coffee drinker, I even have instant matcha, really, really trendy, and instant chai. And if you want to head to lairdsuperfood.com, and if you put in the code Gabby20, so it's LAIRDSUPERFOOD.com. And don't forget to use the code Gabby, GABBY 20 at checkout for 20% off your entire order. I promise you will find something that not only you love, but will make your life just a little tastier, easier, and more energized. I have a question. When you have couples who come in, because both Laird and I, of course, came into our marriage with our narratives, whatever those were.
Yeah.
And then you live for a few years and you think, oh, that's kind of not working so good, or that's not even true anymore. right? Because we change, our environment changes.
Yeah.
I always say the board's different, but we're playing on the old rules.
Yes.
Or we're playing a whole new game.
Yes.
Like I'm safe. Everything's, all these things. Do you ever have couples and they come in and then they visit with you and they work on some stuff and then it dawns on them that they are using their old software in this new life that they have?
Yeah.
It must be incredibly liberating when they go, wait, we don't talk about, the tech crew going like, oh no, you need an update.
Yeah. The really interesting thing is the degree to which people bring what they grew up with. Like
that's what I mean.
Into the relationship.
Like when you realize like, oh my God, that was like 20 something years ago. Why am I doing that? Because I think sometimes people don't realize that if they feel safe, if they feel like, hey, I got a partner who they want to play ball. They're here. They're in it. Yeah. That all of a sudden it's like pulling a thread, pulling a knot and being like, oh, we don't need all that stuff anymore.
Mm-mm. I also tell people to have a lot of like grace with themselves because so much of that has become classically conditioned. You heard a door slam and you learned to duck. Yeah. And like, you may know that door slam doesn't mean anything, but you're still going to duck for a little while and that's okay. That's okay. And I mean, it doesn't have to be something abusive or scary like that. It can just be all sorts of, someone raises their voice, you shut down. Yeah. Just have some grace. Like, you know where that comes from. Yeah. And you also remind yourself, it's not necessary here. That kept me alive and safe over here, not in this new situation. Yeah, but that is what it is to
adapt. Grace is important. For the first 12 years of my marriage, Laird drank alcohol, in bed early, performing very well, safe, very safe. But he would be different. And I remember when he stopped drinking, that first 6 months, you just felt like you were holding your breath a little. Really? Because you were sort of like, oh, I wonder if he's going to. Because I also knew that meant I was probably going to have to move on. And so you're waiting for the shoe to drop. But I thought that's probably pretty normal. You're kind of waiting for that shoe to drop. It didn't. It was 18 years ago. But it was just very interesting of like this time period like you're talking about of like, like, how's it going to, are we good?
It's not in my court.
Yeah.
Like it's on you. Which way is this going to go?
Yeah, that's right. And it's very interesting.
And then the get out of free card, like the get out of jail free card is knowing that you will be okay no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't know that, you will stay in a dangerous situation.
Yeah, that's right. That makes sense. Justin, do you have a question?
Have you ever had a client that you're just like, no, this isn't going to work, or here, talk to my colleague or someone, or do you view everything as a challenge or a puzzle?
It's a very good question. But then I sort of ended up feeling bad for this guy. Okay. I'm a huge animal lover and advocate, and that's just a topic that's very dear to my heart. And so I'd shared this. I was working in a VA, and I shared this with the group that I was working with. And there's this one gentleman who I kind of think was a sociopath. He was a sociopath. And he worked at a factory farm. And he would just delight. As soon as I made that known, the guy had been in this group for 10 weeks, nothing from him. And then I say how I feel about animals. And he just all of a sudden starts wanting to share all of his stories about the chickens and how they're tortured and the torturing that he does. And just kind of to watch me squirm. And that one was very hard for me. But I did kind of feel bad for him. I mean, he was a vet and had a lot of stuff. But that's probably about the only one. For the most part, it's really weird. Like, I don't necessarily get along with my neighbors. I'm like, oh, she sucks. But if they walk into my office, I'm like, all right, let's do this. And I genuinely end up feeling very, very close to most of the folks I work with. Yeah.
Before we kind of land the plane, emotional resilience versus suppression. I think we all have to sort of take baby steps, and sometimes it's confusing. It's like, hey, it's time for me to be brave here, or it's time for me to figure out, that this is hard and I have to find the way to regulate myself emotionally. And I know you like tools to certainly emotionally regulate, but are there ways people can, depending on a situation, go, hey, this is something I sort of need to look at and find the way to be okay from. And this is something that maybe I've been suppressing.
Yeah. So the question there, and it's a distinction between really distraction and suppression. So distraction is, I don't have the resources to deal with this right now or in this moment. like your kiddo is something really serious is going down, you can't allow yourself to go there emotionally. And so you kind of distract somehow, right? They're out. You don't know where they are. They've started hanging out with a rough crew. You can't get a hold of them. Is it going to be effective for you to be sitting there all night being like, and panicking? No, you watch a show. Okay. You distract. The distinction is that suppression pushes things further and further down. Distraction always comes back around. So I will distract for a minute. I will distract for an evening. When I had cancer, I distracted for 8 months. And it was very clear in my head, like, I am not processing all of this right now. And it was like, I could kind of see these forks in the road. And it would be like, oh, I could leave. Nope, going over this
because you
way.
didn't even know what you were going to have to process.
Yeah, and I had a kid and a career. I had a bunch of patients. I couldn't see a way to do that. And so, but now, it's very interesting. I was just having, I treated myself to a massage yesterday, and I was noticing how much tension there is on the left side of my body where the cancer was. And I just allowed myself to like tear up, but it felt again like that fork in the road. I felt like, oh, I can go away. And that was my impulse, was to like start thinking about the Charlie Sheen documentary I've been watching. Okay, literally, it was like, okay, well, what was that about? What did he say? And then I went, no, don't suppress this. Just stay, and really try and focus on what's happening. And whatever comes up, just let it be. So that's the difference, right? Like the suppression really packs things in, and it gets harder to uproot them. Distraction turns away until you're in a better space, but it's up to you to keep track of that, right?
Yeah, and at the right time, and in the right situation, with the right, and certainly if you were gonna, get help, finding the person that when you feel them, you go, yeah, that's the person I want to talk to.
That's right. That's right. But you're in control of it versus like suppression feels like it's in control of you. Like it's grabbing the car and just saying like, we're going this way, right? Yeah. Distraction is like, ooh, this is heavy. It's not going to be helpful for me to ruminate on this right now. I'll come back to it.
Yeah. It's funny. We talk a lot about fear in our house. Just Laird has a relationship with being scared. People think, oh, you're not scared, and the types of surfing he does. He was like, oh yeah, no, I'm very scared. I just use the fear to make me alert, to make good decisions, all these things. But I read this book called The Art of Fear,
I've never read it.
Katie Elmer. But there was a line in this that I thought was so important. They're going to the amusement park, and the little kid says to the dad, they're going on the roller coaster. I'm scared. Now the dad could be like, they wouldn't have this here if it wasn't safe, and they regulate it, and kids are on here. Look at that kid. He's your age on this.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, it's scary. The question is, are you in the mood to be scared?
Oh, I love that.
And so I think there's so many things that we do in our lives that we have that duality. And that's certainly a straightforward scenario, right? Like you can say, I'm going to take on this new job, and you can say,
I can right now. I've got the resources. I'm ready.
I'm scared. And it's like, I'm going to public speak. I'm scared. Yeah. Your body is right in the right position, because now you're going to be alert. You're going to be on your action. And I think it's getting us in touch with our feelings and letting us know that all of it's okay. And like you can be afraid and still do scary things. We really struggle with that dichotomy. Like I can be depressed and still spending time with friends. Yes.
It's just like, no, wait, the emotion has to dictate what I do. And it's like, it's just a passenger on the bus. It doesn't have to drive it.
Yeah.
You can just kind of nod at it and say like, all right.
I think that about day-to-day life, where I am so grateful for my life. And there's days where I'm like, I'm frustrated.
Yeah, totally. And both can be true.
Yeah, and I'm not grateful.
Yes.
Like I'm aware of everything that's so great and everybody's healthy. But just for whatever reason today, I'm frustrated and I'm feeling it, and I got to work this out.
Yeah.
If people have, let's say their nervous system has just been beat to shit for whatever millions of reasons why, even if it's nothing tangible, it was just, their hardwiring.
Yeah.
Do you have any practices that you have them do to help them this notion of the body keeps the score, just getting them to downregulate or be able to get into their parasympathetic where they can just actually relax.
Yeah, we do. Again, this is some of the DBT stuff, but we use this acronym TIP, which is temperature, intense exercise, and pace breathing. And this is the stuff like if you're really feeling flooded and overwhelmed, this works so well. I would want you to dunk your face in freezing cold water.
Good for your skin too.
Yes. And hold it there as long as you can. It triggers the mammalian dive reflex, which quickly drops your heart rate. And it feels like if you've driven a stick shift, I don't think many people do that anymore, but I used to. And that feeling of when you would switch down gear really quickly, that's how it feels. The other one is intense exercise. This is the one I rely on. So in between clients, because I'll just be a little dysregulated. Someone was just telling me something heartbreaking, and now I need to talk to these other folks who are like really excited to have been X, Y, or Z, and I need to regulate. I will do push-ups, as many as I can, until it hurts too much, or wall squats, as long as you can, until it hurts to think. That's the intensity you're reaching for.
Yeah.
And then relax. And all of that regulates sympathetic arousal.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, Caroline, before we go, is there, because you've talked to a lot of people and you wrote an entire book on validation, there's something about validation, which is another person's opportunity to see another person. What is the most important part or the invitation of this book for people?
I think it is to discover, in some ways, this is going to sound way too big, but I mean it seriously, love. Because in the absence of feeling seen or accepted, what does it mean to be loved, right? We can love a facade. And I feel like, especially now with social media and everything else, so many of us are putting so much effort into trying to get praise, which is a positive judgment. It says, you look good, you're doing well, and it's all contingent upon performance, appearance, X, Y, or Z. Validation says, I accept you independent of how you look or perform. And that is a gift I want people to be able to give each other and also themselves. Because all of these skills that I talked about, I also talk about how you can use them internally to validate yourself. And I do believe it's a requirement for love.
Yeah. And it feels really soft and intimate.
Yeah.
When I think about it, it feels soft and intimate. It doesn't feel perfect.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean like, hey, we've got it all figured out.
Right.
But it does feel soft and intimate.
And real.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's acceptance, what is.
Yeah. Well, Caroline, remind people all the did you read the book? Do you have Audible?
Yes. So there's my voice, as cringeworthy as it felt for me. You can get it on Audible. Okay. You can find me on my website, drcarolinefleck.com, social media at Dr. Caroline Fleck. And you can get the book wherever you get books.
Do you ever do like Zoom sessions? I mean, obviously COVID, you probably had to. But
yeah.
Do you have people, and can you read them through the screen?
Oh, yeah. It's harder. It is harder. It's quite a bit harder. And you have to use a lot more for me to validate through the screen is much harder. I do a lot of like writing down what people are saying to show that I'm like really listening.
Yeah.
You do a lot of the copying, leaning in. You got to be a little bit more intense with it.
Yeah.
But it's harder for sure. But it's all the more important than to attend to it. Because instead people are like, I'm just going to turn off my camera. It's like,
oh, geez.
Right?
Yeah. All right. Caroline, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.